This episode right here may offend some of you. Some of the language that I speak about in this episode may offend some of you. The dialogue, the comments that I make in this episode may offend some of you. Some of you might fall off as subscribers, listeners to my show. Some of you might fall off as my friend. But truthfully speaking, I'm going to be truthful in my feelings in today's subject. I'm going to speak frankly about how I feel. No pun intended, I'm going to shoot straight from the hip today and tell you how I feel about the state of the culture in this country. If this is not for the faint of hearts, or if you can't stand the language or the dialogue that I'm speaking about today, then please do me and yourself a favor and turn this episode off right now, because people, it's about to get real. For all of you that's hanging around, let's get right into it. I got to start this episode with a question. At what age, at what point did I become a threat? At what age, at what point do my sons become a threat? I'm asking not for a friend, but for myself, because I want to know when to prepare my children for when they go in the house. I want to know at what point did I become a threat to national society, to America? When did I become a terroristic threat to you? That every time you pull someone over, they get shot. If I'm walking down the street with an iced tea and some Skittles, I get shot. If you driving down the street in a traffic stop, you get shot. If you break down the side of the road, you get shot. If you in your apartment and somebody, mistakes the wrong apartment and come inside, you get shot. If you're out for just a daily jog, you get shot. If your kids at a park playing, they get shot. When did I become a threat? When did we become a threat? At what point, at what age should we become a threat to America? What age does black African American men become a threat to America? What age do black African American women become a threat to America? We need to know. See, because we always hear what to do in case of a traffic stop. We all know the script of what to do. Remain calm. Just cooperate with the officer. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Don't make any false moves. Don't reach for anything. That's the way that they're told so that you'll survive a traffic stop. But what happens when you do all that and you still end up getting killed right in front of your own children? Does it happen? You know his name. I don't need to say it. Rightfully able to conceal and carry a concealed weapon, let the police know he had a concealed weapon, still got murdered in front of his wife and his child. You fall asleep in your car, you're getting killed. You out front of a store selling Lucy cigarettes, you get killed. You selling DVDs, you get killed. You pass a fake $20 bill, you get shot and killed. You get a knee on the neck, then you got to prove your innocence. Like I said, Trayvon Martin was just walking home with an iced tea and some Skittles. He got shot. And where's justice at for these people? There is none. There is no justice in America, and there is no justice. But we still must be peaceful in March. And do we protest? We have to be peaceful in our protests, and we have to act like we have to act in accordance with the law and behave ourselves and not react harshly, because the media is overinflating these type of subjects and overinflating these stories and making this seem bigger than it is. I mean, a lot of black people are not really getting shot by police. It's just the media enraging and feeding these fires to make it seem like it's worse than it actually is. Even though every time we turn on the news, we hear about a new shooting. We haven't even got through the case of George Floyd, the officer who murdered George Floyd, before another young black man lost his life by the hands of police. You tell us to cooperate. You tell us all these things to do, and even when we do, we're still losing our lives. We're still losing our children. At what point are we getting tired of burying our damn children by the hands of police officers who are supposed to protect and serve, and we're supposed to sit here and be okay with it? Then you tell us how to protest. Okay, we peacefully protest. We peacefully protest. You spray us with water hose. You bomb our churches. You bomb our cities when we build them up. We go out here and they go out here and riot and loot. Now we act like a bunch of animals. We're burning down our own cities. We're burning down our own communities. We acting like a bunch of animals. This is what you're saying, people. This is what you're saying, America. We kneel on a football field in protest of police brutality. You tell us we're wrong. You tell us we're hoodlums. There's no place for us in sports when we do that. We speak up in the media after a basketball game, before a basketball game. When the cameras are on us, you tell us to shut up and dribble. At what point can we let our voice be heard? What can we say? At what point do we stop being a threat? What point is it okay to speak up? At what point are we able to truly speak up and protest the police brutality and the issues that's happening in this community, in this country? At what point is it okay for you and okay for us to speak? Because it's not during the football or basketball games, sporting events, because, look, we come there to watch sporting events. We don't come there to hear about what's happening in the black community and police brutality and politics. When the hell did black people being killed by police become into politics? When did that become politics? A person being murdered become part of politics. It ain't the same, people. Then we want to move the skits. This is what we want to do. We want to sit here and diverge away the attention from the conversation. Because, see, this is what we like to do. This is what we like to do. Black people, white people, Latino, and Asians, we all like to do this in this conversation when we talk about police brutality. We talk about Black Lives Matter. This is what we like to do. We like to divert the conversation to something different. Well, if y'all talking about Black Lives Matter, because y'all love talking about this, don't you? Y'all love saying this. Well, why don't y'all talk about Black Lives Matter when black people killing other black people? We love to try to divert the conversation to that. Change the subject, change the script to make it to be about something else. Well, let's talk about it, people. Let's talk about it. See, when a black person kills another black person, we know how that ends, right? Most cases, once that person is found out, running through trial, convicted, they go to jail. Now let's get back on the subject of what the real is going on when police officers kill a black person, an unarmed black person who poses no threat. We know how that story ends, right? We don't need to see the ending of the George Floyd court case and know how this is going to end. We know how it's going to end. We already know. Y'all sitting here boarding up windows of stores and all that because we already know how it's going to end because we already seen this movie. It's on repeat and repeat. We know how the movie's going to end. Not guilty. Dude that kneeled on his neck for over 8 minutes go home, enjoy his family, while George Floyd lays in his grave. We see the court cases. We see the transcripts. We hear the conversation where George Floyd is on trial, where Trayvon Martin was on trial, where Mike Brown was on trial, where Tamir Rice was on trial. Why so many black people be on trial in their own freaking deaths. They're the ones dead. They're the ones laying ground. The victim is on trial trying to prove their innocence because the whole time you're trying to put the perception of, oh, they deserve to die because, see, they was out there selling Lucy cigarettes. Oh, Mike Brown or George Floyd was paying a fake 20, so he deserved capital punishment for these crimes. Oh, this person ran stoplight. Oh, that person was sleeping in their car. Oh, that person was in the wrong home. It was in their home, but it was a mistake. Oh, we had a no-knock warranty. So we just bust in, and because they reacted like anybody reacted when somebody busts in their house with guns, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for how we try to make excuses and turn the tables on these African Americans who are being murdered in the streets, and we act like we don't care. And I get, during the whole George Floyd movement, we got NFL people speaking up, we got Amazon, AT&T, and I already spoke about all this, speaking up, talking about how Black Lives Matter. But I found something interesting. How they also spoke up after the new Georgia law came out about the new voting acts and new rules for voting. How baseball took away its all-star and some of the all-star game and a lot of its games from the city of Atlanta, from the city of Georgia, how Amazon and major companies were speaking out about that. But see, where was all of that? Pulling advertisement, pulling support when these officers keep killing African Americans. Where is the justice for us? When does it come? When did we become the victim? When did we become the aggressor? When did we become the terrorist? When did we become a threat? When is it not enough when we put our hands up and say, don't shoot? When do you stop kneeling on someone's neck when they tell you they can't breathe, or can you let go of the chokehold? How many minutes do a black person have to be laying on the ground with a knee in their neck? How many times do we have to cry out that we can't breathe? How many times do we have to cry out for a mom before you finally lift your knee up off our neck? When do you finally, America, lift your knee up off our neck and let us finally breathe and see life? When can we finally allow our children, our young black men, to go out, go to the store, drive to a car, go to a party, go to school, and not worry about, is this the last time I'm going to see my child? We're in America. Now, of course, they said, don't be alarmed and don't act out. We don't need to defund the police because, see, the politicians, the president, the House of Congress, and the Senate has an idea how to fix the issue with the police. And it's not defunding the police. See, they got the George Floyd Act, and I looked at the George Floyd Act. There's a lot of interesting points in it, and it takes away immunity for certain police officers for certain cases and certain things they do. Make it easier to convict police, yeah, blah, 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 and all that. But guess what? There's a big issue with all that. It all sounds nice and sounds good on paper, but guess what? Here's the issue with the George Floyd Act, people. Even though it sounds good on paper, and it looks like a solid plan to truly to eliminate police killings, which I don't think it's going to do, and I don't think it's going to be effective. But what do I know? Here's the issue. You ready for the kicker with this, people? It has to actually pass through Congress. It has to pass through Congress. And at this point, it don't look like it got enough steam or enough votes to actually pass it. You're probably thinking, very interesting. Why would you come up with that point? It's because you know the anti-lynching bill. You ever heard of the anti-lynching bill? You know what lynching is? You know when they put a rope around black people's necks, our ancestors' necks, and lynch them up from a tree? You ever heard this song, Strange Fruit? You ever heard this song, Strange Fruit? Hanging from a poplar tree? Where it was hanging on ancestors? Do you know that the anti-lynching bill was introduced to Congress almost over 120 years ago? Do you know it wasn't until recently this year, early this year, that this anti-lynching bill was finally approved? 120 years. So answer this question, people. Riddle me this. How long do you think the George Floyd Act, which is supposed to help end police brutality and protect African Americans, is going to take to pass through Congress? Let me know, people. Let me know, and let me know also, while you answer that question, answer this question. When did I become a threat? When did my children become a threat to you? What did I do to become a threat to you that when you see me, you automatically reach for a gun? You tell me why you couldn't, a police officer, a trained police officer who's been on force over 20 years, train other police officers, led training courses on carrying a gun, can't tell a damn difference between a gun and a taser? You telling me I'm supposed to believe this nonsense? That you can't tell the difference between a gun and a taser? When you were squeezing that trigger, oh my gosh, you didn't realize you was holding a gun? You don't know the difference between the difference of a weight of a gun and a taser? And you think I'm supposed to believe this BS? You got issue with how we protest. You got issue with Colin Kaepernick kneeling on the field. You had issue with that, right, America? You got issue with LeBron James and athletes speaking up. Shut up and dribble. Isn't that what y'all said, Fox News? But where was all the issue, all the outcry, all that crap y'all was speaking, all the talk about liberty? Don't tread on me. Liberal rights and how you are patriots of America. Here's a question I got for you, for all the true patriots who had an issue with Colin Kaepernick for kneeling during the national anthem. Where was their patriotism when those terrorists, when those true thugs ran up in the council, in the Capitol building? Where was your where's your patriotism then? Where was their patriotism when they ran up in the Capitol building? Why? Oh, because they felt that liberty was at attack? Oh, they thought their voting rights were attacked? They thought their future and their children's future were attacked? No, they was throwing a damn temper tantrum. Let's call it what it is. They was mad because the election didn't go the way they wanted to, didn't play out the way they wanted to. So what they did was they ran up in the Capitol building where Congress people, the House, the Senate, was running for their damn lives. Running for their lives. Capitol police officer got killed. They're running for their lives while these people ran up in the Capitol building, putting their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk, searching for the workers, searching for staff members, tearing up things. But you want to talk about patriotism, but is that patriotism running up in the Capitol building? But maybe it is so, because patriotism is exercising the right to protest, and I guess they were just exercising that right to protest. It's interesting, though, when we think about the Black Lives Matter movement, we think about black people being a threat, and it's interesting when we talk about the Capitol building and how Black Lives Matter and how we kill each other. It's very interesting when we think about this, people. It's very interesting when we put it in this perspective, isn't it? It's very interesting that when the Black Lives Matter protesters marched outside that church in Washington, D.C., and Donald Trump just wanted to come out there and hold his Bible up so that everybody could see his Bible and take a shot in front of the church. So what he did was he had the police send out tear gas to clear out the protesters, who were, by the way, peacefully protesting, not running up in the Capitol, not putting their feet up on anybody's desk, not killing anyone, trampling anyone, breaking out windows, peacefully protesting for a reason of protecting our children, our black men, our black women, our lives, which are threatened for hundreds of years. Y'all smoked them out, tear gassed them out, flashbanged them out. Y'all sent riot police for them, but you see how they responded to the Capitol riot. How long did it take them to gain back control? But we call that, what they call it, insurrection. No, it ain't no insurrection. It was a terrorist attack. And those were not thugs. They were terrorists, treading on our rights, on our liberty, because they couldn't handle the fact that the vote didn't sway their type of way. But you lost all my respect when you responded the way you did to the Capitol riot. But then when we go out here and peacefully protest, what did y'all do? Y'all sick dogs on us. Y'all turn water hoses on us, tear gas, flashbangs, rubber bullets for us. But when they stormed the Capitol, when they truly, truly threatened liberty, what did you do? You stood by and watched. It just amazes me when you look at this country, when you look at people, and you see the reaction, and how you respond to this. And you tell people not to be angry, frustrated. You tell me not to be frustrated about the culture of this country. The culture of this country has been so long. You're probably telling me, like, why are you acting surprised? Trust me, I know too much about history to be surprised by anything that happens. I'm too much of a student in history to be surprised about anything that happened. I'm too much of a student for history to be surprised about police brutality, because at this point, it's sad to say, we become accustomed to it. We're used to it. The difference is now, these young kids right now, this new generation that a lot of us like to tease and talk down on, like we call soft and all that, they're the ones standing up and saying no more. We're not taking it no more. They're the ones out here making their voice heard. They're the ones carrying on the message of the Frederick Douglasses, the work of the Martin Luther King, the work of the Malcolm X's, and the many other, the Rosa Parks, who stood up and fought for civil rights. They're the ones who sit here pushing for change, fighting for their lives and their right to live. But those are the ones you talk about and you tease and talk about how this new generation is different, because your generation was so much better, but at the same time, a lot of you stood on the sidelines and allowed this to happen. You watched it. You may not watch it through a camera lens on the phone, but you've seen it happen. You knew what's happened. You know about the water hoses that was turned on us. You knew about the firebomb in the church where those little girls were murdered. You know about the dogs being sicked on us. You know about the beatings. You know about the murders in Mississippi. You know about Emmett Till. This has been happening for so long. But still, America try to turn a blind eye to it. They tell us shut up and dribble. They tell us get up from kneeling and stand up, because they feel like we're disrespecting the flag, and we're not disrespecting the flag. This is the only way to get your attention. But I ask you, America, what's the way to protest? What's the way to get your attention? What's the way to get this conversation started? Because like politics, y'all don't want to talk about race. I hear people all the time, don't come to me and talk to me about race, because whether you're black or white, you don't hear about it. You got black people coming on this show, coming on here and talking about, yo, we need to fix our community, and we need to do something about our community. But I ask all y'all the same thing. What do we need to do to fix our community? What's the plan? What's the plan after the march? What's the plan after the protest? What's the win we need? Of course we need for the cops to stop killing black people. Of course we need peace in our neighborhoods. Of course we need education in our neighborhoods. But what's our plan to get it? What's our plan to obtain it? Because the George Floyd Act has to pass Congress, and like I told you, 120 years, anti-lynching bill, it took 120 years for that bill to get passed. So we talk about not in my children's lifetime, certainly not in my lifetime, maybe my great-grandchildren's lifetime, the George Floyd Act may get passed in law, and by that time, anybody even going to remember George Floyd or how it felt when the first time you seen that video and you seen that police officer kneeling on his neck as he said, "I can't breathe," and crying out for his mom? It amazes me. It amazes me, people, of what we need to do, what we need to have happen for us to truly push for change. Now, a lot of y'all, like I said earlier in the show, a lot of y'all talk about what black people killing other black people. How are you ignoring that factor? And how are you not speaking about that? How are you talking about Black Lives Matter when you sitting there killing each other? Well, let me speak frankly and straight and directly to the black community. We need to get on some healing. We need to get ourselves a huge glass of heal. And I'm not talking about healing like, yo, forget the past and forget that you were a slave and that you was mistreated. And at one point your ancestors were on a boat. It's time for us to heal from those wounds of what was done to us. It's time for us to recognize the part that we play too, but also the part in play killing each other. We can't make the excuse of poverty anymore when we're contributing to the poverty. What do I mean by contributing to the poverty? See, I had a conversation with my wife and my kids about segregation and what happened on segregation. I had a conversation with you about segregation in the Green Book episode. Go back and check it out, people. We talked about during the time of segregation, how there were certain black businesses, certain black stores that were there to support the black community because that was the only stores we could shop at. We couldn't walk into Walmart and get those discounted prices. We couldn't go shop at the local Costco's. We couldn't go to the Family Dollars or the Dollar Generals or the Dollar Trees of the world because certain stores we couldn't go to. We couldn't walk into certain restaurants and pick up a hot dog. Or go to McDonald's and Chick-fil-A to get that chicken sandwich, that new crispy chicken sandwich that you heard so much about. We couldn't do that. Because, see, we had to pick up our food from the back door. When we go to a hotel, even though we spent so much money on a room, if you were even allowed to go into a hotel, you couldn't ride that regular elevator up. You had to ride that service elevator up. And those buildings, those facilities, those restaurants, those hotels, those banks, those movie theaters that supported us when segregation ended, you know what we did? We ended our support for them, making those businesses not only go under, but the historical history of those establishments and what they've done go under and go forgotten. Never to be spoke of, never to be heard of again, never to be talked about. But we talk about poverty in our own community, but we don't invest in our own community. We choosing to destroy and kill each other. The truth of the matter is, we can sit here and talk about the police doing the damage and killing us. And the truth of the matter is, we can talk about the George Floyd Act and all the things that's happened, and the fact that there's no justice in this country for black people. But at some point, we also have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, when are we going to have justice for ourselves? When are we going to have justice for our children? When are we going to end family trauma? When are we going to end generational curses? When are we going to decide that all this ends with us? That poverty ends with us. That we're not going to restrict, that we're going to restrict giving not only ourselves low ceilings, but our children low ceilings. That we're going to teach them about the importance of education, teach them about the importance of investing. We're going to teach them how to overcome the odds, the shortcomings that we've been forced to be with. See, I told you last episode, I talked about story, right? Talked about green eggs and ham, right? And I talked about how green eggs and ham can teach you how to invest and, be persistent and consistent with your businesses and to pursue true success by not giving up when times get hard or when somebody say no to you. Well, let me talk about another story, another children's story for you. Remember the story of the tortoise and the hare? Remember that story? Oh, the hare, he sprinted out in front of that tortoise, right? He was so fast and so far ahead that the tortoise, he took a nap. He stopped to eat lunch break. He even stopped to watch the movie. He was chilling. He had a huge advantage over him, but see, the tortoise kept going. Never stopped for a break. Kept pushing forward. And what happened? Who won the race? The faster hare or the slow tortoise? You know who won. So when you're thinking about that, when you're thinking about that story, put it in perspective of where you are, the black community. Think about where you are right now. Look at yourself. Yeah, you may be the tourist. Yes, you was behind the eight ball. Yes, you were restricted from having certain success, from having the jump. Yes, you helped build this country. In fact, you did build the country. Your blood, sweat, and tears are in the ground of this country, not just in building the White House, but this whole entire country. Yes, you invested and built and came up with a lot of adventures in this country. But let me tell you something, people. We can't stop at our history. We got to continue to build on our history and build a foundation for our future children. And we can't build it on blood that we're shedding by bullets. We're killing each other by selling each other liquor and drugs, selling each other false dreams and schemes, selling each other out, denying and not supporting each other. At some point, we have to turn around and build a new foundation, a new state of the culture, a new country, a new way of living. At some point, we got to look at ourselves and decide to be different. We have to decide that it ends with me. It ends right here. That today, it ends with Trayvon Martin. It ends with Tamela Rice. It ends with Mike Brown. It ends with George Floyd. It ends with them. The police brutality has to end with them. We have to stop and decide that this has to stop somewhere. But we have to stop putting our foot on the gas and accelerate forward, only to slam on our brakes when the momentum starts to die down. We got to keep the momentum going, and we got to keep pushing if we truly want to end this police brutality. We can't let them decide whether the Congress want to support a bill, the George Floyd Act, to support protecting the black community, and we got to stand up and protect ourselves. If we truly want peace, then we're going to truly have to fight for it. And I don't mean fight, go on the streets and get your sticks and your guns and go out there and start shooting some stuff up, because one thing I would never promote is violence. Nor will I promote the idea of tearing some stuff up. But sometimes you got to kick up dust and go out here and you got to protest. You got to go and let the legislators, these Congress people, these senates know that you ain't going to go away, that you're not going to turn away, that you're not going to quiet my voice, and you're not going to ignore me no more. I don't give a damn how much America or certain parts of America want you to shut up and dribble. Now, I'm going to still speak out as an athlete, because you love watching me dribble the ball, but you don't want to hear about when my life is in danger. So I'm going to make you hear about it. I'm going to make you see me. I don't care if you want to talk about kneeling is unpatriotic when the national anthem playing, but you was okay when they ran up in the Capitol building, putting their feet up on House Speaker's Nancy Pelosi's desk. You ain't have an issue with that though, did you? You ain't have an issue when they was running amok in D.C. All because they was throwing a temper tantrum because the election didn't go their way. Hit me with all of your conspiracy theories all you want. I'm not even begin to be interested. I'm going to be clear to anybody listening. I'm not interested. I'm not even going to entertain it. So save it. Because whatever the case would be, what happened, happened. It wasn't insurrection. It was straight up terrorism when they ran up in the house. It was terrorism when they turned dogs and water hoses on children, women and children, men who were just trying to protest to live their lives because they wanted a better life for their children. It was terrorism when police threw out tear gas and flash bombs just to clear out peaceful protesters who were fighting back to let their children live, to making sure their child don't become the next George Floyd, the next Trayvon Martin, the next Mike Brown. The list goes on and on. We were fighting for that. Not because we were throwing temper tantrum, not because we were being crybabies, because we truly are trying to fight for our children's future. We're trying to fight for our children to live. And shout out to all the people who are out there right now, pounding the pavement, speaking up every chance they get to fight for my rights, to fight for my children's rights, and every African American right and black and brown person life on this earth, who's speaking up and not afraid, knowing their life is in danger and being threatened because they're speaking up against them. Shout out to the true Senate people, the people in Senate, Congress, the true people in the government who are truly fighting for true change for police brutality, true change for the black and brown community. Shout out to the true police officers who are going on duty and doing their job right and speaking up against these police officers who, I mistaken my taser for my gun for a taser. I just didn't know. I mean, I've been using a gun, training people on how to use a gun for years, but I just didn't know the difference between the weight of a gun and a taser. Shout out to all of them who see the BS behind the lies that's being told and not afraid to speak up about it. Shout out to people who are really ready to have a real conversation of racism. I invited anyone who's interested. Come on here. Come on and do a panel discussion with me about racism. I ain't hiding. You can't hide. You can speak behind closed doors. You can speak in the comfort of your house. Speak up. Let the world know how you feel. You okay with this going on? You okay with your child becoming the next victim? Your child fall asleep in the parking lot of Wendy's and they may not come home again? You okay when your child is driving their kids, their wife and their kids to go get sneakers, school shopping, to the grocery store, they get pulled over and they get killed because they legally was carrying a gun and they let the police officer know? Are you okay with this? Are you okay with this, America? You tell me, are you okay with your child walking home from the corner store with an Arizona iced tea and skills and being stalked and killed? Why? Because he's black in a good community that he don't belong in, according to you? Are you okay with that? Or are you okay with the way things is going? You tell me, how do you feel? Are you truly okay with it? Do you feel secure enough behind your walls, behind your castle walls, behind your closed gates and closed doors that you think that you're untouchable because your bank account is big enough, that you're untouchable from these police bullets, that you're untouchable from racism? Do you really truly feel that way? What does it take for you to realize that this is the pandemic? Racism is the pandemic. This hatred that we have amongst each other is the pandemic. We so worried about vaccines and speak about vaccines for COVID, but we're not truly trying to deal with the true pandemic that's destroying this country as a whole. We worry about wearing a mask. We worry about wearing a mask and where we can go and can't go and where we can travel and how many people we can take into a doctor's appointment or a hospital, or how many people are allowed in a supermarket, or how many seats are available in a restaurant, or how long the line is to get into a restaurant, or what stores closing. But we not worried about really truly curbing the virus that's been affecting this country since its existence. We ain't interested in that. We talking about vaccines, and Johnson & Johnson vaccine causes blood clots, allegedly, in people. But we ain't worried about the blood clot that's killing this country. The blood clot that's killing African American children. That's killing off the country. We're not worrying about this deadly pandemic of hatred, racism that continues to plague this country. The issues, the pandemic that continues to plague the police department that's supposed to be here to protect and serve, and you wonder why we have an issue. You can't tell me yet. I asked a question at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to ask it again before I end it. At what point did I become a threat? At what point did my children become a threat? Better yet, at what point did your children and you become a threat to America? Let me know, people. Let me know why, even though I got my hands up, you still shoot. Let me know why, even though I follow your book on cooperating to the police, so many of us still can't make it home to our family. Why, even though George Floyd screamed out, "I can't breathe," that officer wouldn't let his knee up off his neck. Let me know why, even though he's crying for his mom, he wouldn't let his knee off his neck. Let me know why, even when you're jogging, you're still a threat, and you're in danger of being hunted down. Let me know why, when you break down on the side of the road, you're being murdered. Let me know if you're illegally selling cigarettes, loose cigarettes, why you just can't see your day in court, receive a fine, receive a few days in jail instead of corporal punishment where your life have to end. Let me know. Why is our life not precious enough to you? Let me know why our life has so little value to you. Let me know why our life doesn't matter to you. Let me know why our life doesn't matter to us. Let me know why our children's life doesn't matter to us. Why is it so important to hold on to family trauma, to generational curses? Let me know why we refuse to find a true vaccine and take the vaccine to eliminate the true pandemic that's plaguing this country for hundreds of years. Racism. Let me know, people. Let me know. I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Past and Present Podcast. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with as many people as possible. Answer the questions that I have. If you want to get in touch with me, you can always get in touch with me. Instagram, Alan the Great. Hit me up, people. Facebook, Past Present. Or hit me up in the comment section. I'm always looking, always checking, and I will respond back to you. I appreciate all the support, all the love that everyone has shown this show throughout this year. We have had some dope guests, and I want to take a second right here to say thank you to all the great guests and great information and from all the guests that came on the show this year, who came on to be brave and speak their truth. Be transparent about their lives, no matter how society may look at them. I want to send a special thank you for everyone out there right now protesting the right way, peacefully protesting, speaking up about the police brutality, speaking up and standing up against police brutality, standing up for justice for not only black people, for brown people, and for all people. I want to thank you for everyone who's truly protecting us and protecting our children, protecting your children. I want to say thank you for everyone who's out there who is truly breaking generational curses, family trauma, and saying all this ends with me. I want to thank you for all that you do every day. Thank you for being here. Until next time I see you people, I only got one thing left to say, y'all. Stay tuned. Peace.